This is it. This is the end. The last season of Mob Psycho 100. And what can I say about it? That I freaking love Reagan.
One and only one.
So as you probably know, Mob Psycho 100 is created by One, famous for creating One Punch Man. But unlike One Punch Man, Mob Psycho 100 is a bit different. Well, you still have an overpowered character, but he's not invincible, he's very much human. And unlike other shonen, Mob doesn't really use his powers to improve himself. He's more or less trying to figure out how to live life while having them. And of course, trying not to break. So while Season 2 kind of had a climactic battle finale, and it was this all-out war domination arc, as it's called, this season's more of an epilogue to that. There's not a lot of fighting and clashing in this season. This season's more about exploring Mob growing up. Sarazawa from last season is now working at the agency, and he joins Reagan and Mob as they go on their adventures. And I love seeing Sarazawa in this role. Reagan having another person to bounce off of with his banter is just glorious. Now, Reagan's my favorite character in the show, but he doesn't do a lot this season. He kind of just encourages Mob to be himself. And that's the best thing about Reagan, is he's kind of a father figure. He truly is a mentor, even if he has no powers. And that really comes up later, which I'll get to. So the first real arc of this season is the Divine Tree arc, which is the giant broccoli that all the psychic energy got channeled into at the end of the last season. So full spoilers ahead, I'm gonna talk about everything. So now it's time for Dimple to finish his arc. Dimple decides to use the praying going towards the Divine Tree to power himself up and become a god. He is going to become a god. He brainwashes the whole city. And when Mob finally appears to fight him, Mob realizes this isn't actually what Dimple wants. Dimple just thought he wanted this. But Mob breaks to 100 and subverts all expectations by releasing the energy and not fighting. Because Mob doesn't want to fight anymore, and he doesn't want to fight Dimple. He realizes he's been focusing on himself and not his friend. Because that's all Dimple actually wants, is a friend. But then Dimple has to pay for his sins, because now this tree, this broccoli, is sentient, and it is fighting Dimple. It wants to use Mob as a battery, basically. So Dimple, using every last ounce of strength he has, hypnotizes Mob to walk home, saying, "Bye, bye Shig, I'll see you later." It's really touching, because that's the last we see of Dimple. The next thing we know, Mob's home and the broccoli's in space. Mob believes Dimple's still out there, but that's it. Mob cries because he misses his friend. Dimple having this redeeming arc in the last season, I wasn't expecting it, but I really liked it. And I really liked that Dimple just didn't become a bad guy. He just kind of tricked himself into thinking this is what he actually wanted. There's a lot of nuances, and I love it. Now, the next part of the season really broke me, and I mean it broke me. I could not believe what I was seeing. So first off, they discover an actual telepath in the school. Then Mob, Reagan, and the Telepathy Club decide they're gonna go try to find a UFO. I still can't believe this actually happened. They find aliens. They're these pink aliens. They don't talk. And everyone just kind of goes into their spaceship for the night. Do all kinds of just hanging out, being friends. Reagan's even like, "I can't believe I'm on a spaceship." But he's just kind of chill. Everyone's chill. And here I am on the couch with my buddy. I can't believe what's going on. It broke me. What is going on? And by the end of it, I was just happy it was over. I'm just gonna forget that happened and move on. Now we get to the last arc of the season, where Mob's worst fear happens and he loses it. Mob's about to ask the girl he's had a crush on the entire series out on a date. But on his way there, he saves a kid that's about to get hit by a truck, and Mob gets hit by the truck instead. And while Mob's head is bleeding out on the asphalt, you get seriously worried, like, this just happened. What happened? Mob's finally lost it. Mob stated earlier in the show his biggest fear was losing himself to his powers, because he felt the only person that could stop him was him. And now it's finally happened. This is also one of Ritsu's worst fears. So Mob's body's kind of on autopilot, just heading straight to the park where he's meeting his crush. But he's mowing down everything. People, buildings, total destruction. At one point there's tornadoes. It's insane. and nobody can stop him. None of his friends. And when Ritsu gets there, Ritsu gives an honest try, but even he can't reach his brother. And then the big bad from season 2 shows up. And I'm like, oh. If anyone can do it, he can. No, he can't. He gets his butt whooped fast. Mob has truly been holding back all this time. But by the end of it, Reigen, through all of the destruction, runs through the tornadoes, runs through the wind, through the energy, through all of it. So he can get to Mob and confess his sin. Reigen confesses that he has no powers, he's never had powers, and he's a fraud. He's wanted to say this for a long time. And while this is going on, Mob's fighting his inner self. Now, I've been saying Mob this whole time, but really this force of power is Mob. Because after all, the one we call Mob is actually Shigeo. And inside of his head, these two personas are fighting. Shigeo wants to stop all this because it was Shigeo's worst fear that Mob would take over. And in the internal struggle, Mob is winning, and he's basically won. But Reigen's confession broke him. Because of the fact that Reigen is telling the truth. The honest truth is something he's wanted all these years. And now it's time for Reigen to be a father, for Reigen to be a mentor. And he tells Mob that rejection is okay. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to have trauma, and it's okay to work through it. And he wishes Shigeo luck as he goes to ask out his crush. And is promptly rejected. But he admits it's fine before he starts naturally crying because he's upset. But that's the point. He did it. That's growth. Shigeo a few seasons ago wouldn't have done that, but he did it. And that's the whole point of the show, self-improvement. Mob joined the Body Improvement Club to improve himself. And his journeys with his friends have improved his mind and his outlook on life. Mob Psycho 100 isn't like a lot of animes I've seen. It subverts a lot of expectations. And while part of me wants more, I'm also deeply satisfied with how it ended. I fell off from One Punch Man very fast, but I'm very interested to see what One creates next. Praise Reigen. I'll see you next time.